Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Mario, and I would like to welcome you into another episode of the Random Select Podcast. It's the podcast that's all about thought-provoking talk, and today we're going to talk about that age-old thing, interracial marriages. It's still highly talked about, highly discussed, and in some circles, when it comes to family members and things of that nature, it's still highly divisive. And I'm talking with Run and Run. Ironically, both guys are named Run, so we'll call one Run G and call the other one Run K. So, what's going on with you, Run K?
Not much, man. I'm doing good. How are you?
Hey, I can't complain, man. I'm finally glad to get you on the show, man. I know we've talked about it, several times, but finally got you, and I appreciate you doing this for me, man.
Oh yeah, no problem, man.
Okay, well, we're going to jump right into it, Run, and ask this question started right off the bat. Now, before you decided to be in an interracial, I don't know why I'm having a problem saying interracial, relationship, did you think about what may come with it, or it just felt natural to you, or did you put any thought into what may come from it?
Not really. I guess not really like thinking about what may come from it, but I did think about, like, the first time I ever did it, what would my sisters think when they saw me? And when I say my sister, I mean just black women. What would they think when they saw me out with a female from a different race?
Okay.
Yeah, it did kind of a lot.
Okay, well, so and once you went down that particular road, you didn't feel like no pressure from family members or no pressure. Because, some people like to say you sinning, and I don't know how that's sinning, but.
Family? My family, man, honestly, man, they had no problem with it at all, man. And I never thought they would, but they just treated the person like it was another person,
Okay, what about her family?
Her family? Well, mom was okay. She had already warned me about the dad. That, he was really, well, she just said he was racist. He didn't really care for black people, especially black men.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but when he came around, he never disrespected me. He never acted any kind of way. But, the man that I am, I would never allow you to get away with that anyway.
Okay.
So, yeah, I never had any problem with the dad, even though, I already knew what he told me, how he was, but he never came at me in a negative way at all.
People within my family who felt the entire time I was married to my wife, I was sinning, like literally sinning. And whenever I would try to talk to them about that verse of scripture, the verse of scripture they used to try to rationalize that, it would fall on deaf ears. So if you tell me, just you as a man, hey, this is my opinion, I just prefer white women. I just don't really have any desire to date outside my race. It's not I think it's wrong. I just don't want to do it. Cool. No, we got no issues. But, and I don't want to use the word issues like I'm mad at people, but when you try to start telling someone that they're wrong, or that you don't respect them, or that they have sold out, or that because I've had white people tell me that I've sold out. Believe it or not. But and when you hear people talk like that, to me, okay, you're trying to impose your personal ideologies on someone else, and that's why I tend to have an issue with people.
Okay, all right, and let me ask this: did y'all have to deal with any, auspicious or dirty looks from people, especially black women? Did you have to deal with that when y'all was out and about, maybe going out to eat or shopping or anything like that?
Never noticed any of that at all.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, it was, not saying it never happened, but as far as what I know, what I witnessed, I never witnessed it at all.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Yeah,
But
some people find that, one of the most uncomfortable things, that they constantly getting stares, and some people actually have the nerve to say stuff to them. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I'm that person that if I'm out with somebody, respect me regardless, or I wouldn't let anybody, you know, come across saying stuff, negative stuff about why are you with him. I wouldn't let that just fly. I'm not fighting anybody, but I would just stand up, just like I would. I'm gonna protect whoever I'm with, just like I would take if it was a sister.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just all about being a man. You protect who you're with.
Yeah, I understand that.
I think it's funny. By nature, I'm a little bit of a jerk. So if I find out that I'm getting under your skin or messing with you in a way, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing to mess with you a little bit. So whenever I would get looks, I would just, lean over and give her a kiss on the cheek. Or, if we got our hands on the table, reach over and stroke her hand a little bit. Just little public displays of affection to kind of get under the person's skin who may be giving us the eye. It never made me feel unsafe because I always tried to make sure we were never in those types of places or areas. It never made me feel unsafe. But yes, we did get them. Sometimes they were more overt than other times. But we got them. And as far as how it made me feel, there was really only once or twice where it made me feel uncomfortable to the point where I decided let's leave. Not that there was any sign of cowardice. It's just I'm not going to kill my vibe because somebody else wants to be an idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got him. And for the most part, didn't bother me. That's you. I'm gonna keep doing me and eating or wherever we're at.
Now let me ask you this: has anybody ever had the courage to come up to you guys and say anything?
At her grandmother's house one time, there was a gentleman that approached me, and at the time I thought it was with a cousin of hers, and because that's how he introduced himself to me. Later found out that he wasn't really a cousin, just a real good family friend, but he asked me why I was taking all the black women, or not taking all the black, how did he say it? I can't remember exactly how he said it. Why couldn't I find a woman of my own? Why am I taking black women? And I just kind of looked at him because for one, and keep in mind now, Mario, I'm thinking this is her cousin. So I kind of looking at him side-eye going, wait a minute, dude, this is your cousin. You're really worried that I'm taking your cousin? So my response to him, I just kind of laughed it off because I didn't want to cause a scene. I wasn't going to cause a scene anyway. I respect her grandmother too much. But I just kind of laughed it off and said, I like all women. It just so happens that, the one I'm with is black. I just like women. So, which is the truth.
Yeah, from that standpoint, I've always said that sometimes when, depending on what your situation is, if we all was just the same color and you just had to choose a person by how you fell in love with them or how you liked them or how you got to know them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, like you said, you'll be lying if you're saying you don't see color, right? But color is not my determining factor to make me make my decision. You know what I mean? I got to get to know you because I don't care what color you wear. You got black girls that could be not right for you. Don't care what color, you know what I'm saying, she is. I'm saying from me as a black man, you can meet someone one day, oh, she's black, yeah, but she's not for me. But she's a black woman, yeah, but she's not for me. Are you missing the most important part of this?
Right.
She's not for me, So, on the flip side of that, did y'all ever have to have a talk with the kids about this, or it was just one of them type of things y'all just let it be a relationship, just pure and simple, or did y'all really have to sit down and explain to the kid that this may or may not come your way?
As far as because her kids were mixed also.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her kids were mixed. Her kids were mixed.
Oh,
but I was that. I'm that person. I talk to the kids to let them know that yeah, you mixed, but when people see you, they see a black kid.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
And that may cause problem for you later on in life. So it's just certain. And she was she was aware of some things because she wouldn't allow her son to be outside playing with a toy gun because she didn't want the cops to think it was something else and fired upon him without even checking to see what it was. So she wouldn't allow him to be outside playing with a toy gun or anything.
Okay.
So she understood some of it.
And I'm going to get a little off subject here, but I'll bring it back around to what we're talking about.
Okay, go ahead. You got the floor.
In all things regarding how I raised my son, I've always tried to be very open and very honest with him. Now, I want to preface something by saying I love my dad, I respect my dad, and I think my dad is a very good man. But he didn't teach me a lot in terms of breaking down life for me. You understand what I'm saying? So I always tried to make sure that when my son was born, I made a conscious effort at that moment, or a conscious decision at that moment, that I was going to try to teach my son the things that weren't taught to me. Whether it be anything from economics to sex to race. So to bring it back to what we're talking about, he has run into some issues, and I have, even before he had those issues, I was very open and honest with him that he may face some of those issues. People talking about him being a biracial child, and I told him never, ever to allow anyone to tell him he had good hair. I tried to stay away from allowing him to get those types of thoughts in his head, where he would esteem himself in any way, shape, form, or fashion better than someone. And thankfully, my son hasn't shown any of those qualities. But yeah, I've always been very honest with him. I've been brutally honest with him about the history of this country, and how it relates to the African American heritage of his roots. And he's had some instances. There was a young lady on the school bus one time. He thought that she was talking to him, and she said something, and he thought she was talking to him. He said, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you." And she said, "Nobody's talking to you, white boy." Well, my son being my son, and kind of what I taught him to tell people when he was younger, to kind of humor the way out of it, my son said, "I'm not white, I'm gray, I'm a mixture of black and white." And so he's dealt with some of that. He's dealt with people telling him that he has good hair and things like that. Girls at school running their fingers through his hair, "You got good hair." And I've always tried to make sure that he told them that it's just hair. Your hair is beautiful too. And things like that. So he's dealt with it. I don't think he's seen it on a raw level yet, like you and I were talking about earlier. How I told you that my going to Palmetto High School, moving from Atlanta to Palmetto, that was the first time I saw real raw racism in my face. And so I don't think my son has had that sort of instance yet. But I've tried to prepare him and empower him with knowledge and information that, hey, if you hear these things, blah, 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 X, Y, Z, do X, Y, Z. And I've tried to instill in him a sense of self-worth and a sense of self-awareness. And I've been to the, someone in my family has asked me, do I ever teach him about white history? Because I teach him so many things that I learn and research and things like that. And my response to him kind of is, well, he learns white history every day in school. And so just little things like that I've tried to make sure that he's empowered with information on who he is as a person. And so that he's ready and equipped to battle those types of racisms when he runs into them.
Okay.
That as a black man, right, do you think that she kind of understood whatever, because they always saying we going through some type of plight. If it's something went down, could she ever understand what you be going through? If the police pulled you over, could she ever understand why you being a certain way? Did you think she ever could feel you as a black man?
Not totally. Some, yes, but not totally. She couldn't totally feel it because, just certain conversations we had let me know that she doesn't fully understand it, and she won't fully understand it until she deals with it with her own son.
Mm-hmm.
And then she'll see everything I had been telling her all along. So.
Okay. Well, I was gonna ask you this question, but and I know you can't think for her, but you said that she had, mixed kids already. Because I was gonna ask you, do you think at times that being with maybe a black man bothered her? And I'm gonna ask you to, I'm asking you to speculate because I know you don't really know what she was thinking, but I'm asking you to kind of tell me what you think she might have been going through.
I'm not gonna say being with a black man bothered her, but being with a socially conscious black man like myself, that bothered her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, if I was just a black man that didn't speak on, didn't try to teach the kids, and didn't pay attention to the world that's going on around, especially when it comes to black men or just black people in general, she would have been a lot better off. But being that I was socially conscious and I spoke my mind, I feel like that bothered her some. Yes.
And that's a very good point that you bring up, because a lot of times we as black men, right?
Mm-hmm.
We say stuff and we'll say, okay, me being the man I am, but a lot of us are not socially conscious. You know what I mean?
Yes.
A lot of us can't talk about anything past sports. You know what I mean?
Yes. Too many of us are like that. And that bothers me more than anything, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm glad to hear you say that you were socially conscious, black man, because a lot of us, we're born around pumping our chest saying that we men, but sometimes we be missing the boat on stuff that really make you a man. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
All right, let me ask you this, and I know you can't speak for her, but I'm just saying, like in your downtime and stuff, when y'all had y'all like personal conversation, do you think it ever bothered her?
Not that I'm aware of.
And I know you can't answer.
No. That's a very good question. Because it makes me take a step back and say, this marriage that has come to an end here, it makes me stop and look back over the last almost 20 years ago, were there points there to where it was hard for her, so to speak, that I didn't catch up on, or that I could have been more attentive to. So, I think we were always very open about that, and we always made sure we tried to mention if anybody shot us any eyes or gave us any static anywhere or anything like that. So, to my knowledge, no, there was never ever any adverse feelings for her in terms of being with me, whether it was when we were dating or even after we got married.
If somebody asked you, and I'm just putting this out here, if somebody asked you, what would you prefer? What would you say?
Women wise?
Yeah, women wise. What would you prefer? White women, black women, or it just don't matter?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, man, like this here, because I've said this to her, and I knew there was a problem. I told her, and I'm okay with telling anybody this. There's nothing on this earth like a black woman. I think, I don't care what type of man you are, if you black, white, Asian, I don't care what you Mexican, you're gonna always win if you have a black woman by your side. So for me, I always prefer a black woman.
All right, well, let me play devil's advocate here, Ron. If you always prefer a black woman, how'd you end up dancing on the other side of the fence?
I was just living here, was not dating anybody. We were in school together. We started talking, had a little similar interests, and it just blossomed from there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, neither one of us was looking for anything, Just had that attraction toward each other.
All right. Well, ain't nothing wrong with that. Sometimes when you not looking is when you actually find somebody. So, I mean, hey, and I always say this. In today's world, when it's hard to find somebody that you actually want to be around and that you could get along with, I don't give a damn what color they are. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to find a person you could want to spend 20 minutes with these days.
Exactly.
One thing I love to know about this country is 3 things we like. We like putting labels on stuff, we like red tape, and we like standing in line in this country.
Yeah, I agree.
So those are the things we're becoming famous for. So do you feel any type of way about a black man dating a white woman?
And this is going to sound like flippant, but I could care less. If you are happy as an individual, do you? Now, I would say to anyone dating outside their race, if the person you're with doesn't value who you are as a person, the struggles you may or may not deal with every day, and is not willing to for 1 second empathize with anything that you may have going on, then you may need to second guess being with that person. Because in this country, you said some things we love about this country. This country loves to label. And this may be a little politically charged here, but I'm going to speak from the heart here. This country is very Eurocentric, and there are absolutely white supremacist elements to the society in which we live. So if you're a black man or a black woman dating outside your race, and let's just say specifically a white person, that person is going to have some empathy for the things that you go through every day as a black person. Now, I can't experience what you experience every day, Mario. I have my own experiences. Yeah. But I'm smart enough to know that when I walk into a store wearing a big coat, I don't get the same looks as you do. When a police officer pulls me over, 9 times out of 10, I don't get the same doubt that you get as a black male. You understand what I'm saying? So I know that if I'm dating outside my race and I'm dating a black female, then I've got to understand there's some things that she's going to be dealing with that while I may not be able to relate directly to, I can have empathy for those things and try to help her work through those things as best I can. So on the flip side, as a black man dating a white woman, if that woman, I don't care if she's white, Hispanic, Asian, or even if she's white, if that woman is not lifting you up as her partner and empathizing with the things you go through as her partner, then she's not a woman worth having. And the same is true for a man.
Okay. So, let me ask you this, because on my side of the fence, and listen to a lot of black women talk, listen to a lot of black men talk, a lot of them say that when the woman or the man decides to go date a white person, we're always one argument away, or one messed up incident away, or one misunderstanding away from the N-word flying out you guys' mouth toward us when you're in a relationship. Have you heard this? Well, at some point, you guys are going to get mad, and that's going to fly out your mouth.
Me personally, that's never happened for me. But as a white dude, I've had this thought where it makes me cringe as a white guy that seemingly when white people get mad, specifically when in relation to dealing with black men or black women, when they get so frustrated and there's just nothing else they can say, that's the fail-safe word for most white people. And I've seen it happen within my own family. I've seen it happen amongst friends, and it's something that I'm very outspoken about and something that I address when and if I hear it. I've never done that. If I get mad, there's 100 other words I could call a female other than that. But yeah, I could see that being a concern, especially from your perspective or a black woman's perspective, because it seems that in our society, and this is what hurts me as a white guy, or I shouldn't say hurts me because I don't want to downplay anybody's suffering and pain or whatever. But every time I see white people doing things like this situation that just happened in Charlottesville, it makes me cringe because those are everyday people that you deal with, and they're throwing up the Heil Hitler signs. They're screaming out white supremacist slogans and you will not replace us or whatever it was they were saying. So now, as a white guy, I may look at you, Mario, and go, man, I hope you don't think that I do that when I'm away from you. I hope that, because it seems like in this country that a lot of times we're cool, and then behind your back I may say something different. Now, I know that's true for everybody to some extent. I've had a friend of mine tell me that that's true you know, for every group of people. But
Yeah, I was going to say, at home, behind the scenes
right,
talk,
right.
you know what I'm saying? But same thing I say about the N word. I still don't understand as a people, why do we crucify everybody who's saying it, but we won't make a conscious effort inside of us to stop saying it? I never understand.
This is just a personal opinion of mine, and if it rubs anybody the wrong way, I want to go ahead and say I apologize because I'm not trying to offend anyone. But this is how I feel about that. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, right? To me, that word in the lexicon of the English language specifically used within the black community, that is the biggest Jedi mind trick that I've ever seen in my life. Because see, Bubba and Earl don't have to say it anymore. Now you can argue that we've taken it and turned it into this and taken it and turned it into that, and that's cool. Say what you want, do what you want. And I'm not saying that people should be concerned necessarily with how people perceive them. But you've heard of the Willie Lynch letter, correct? Okay.
Yes.
The historians argue whether or not that was a real letter, whether or not that actually happened. I tell people whether or not it really happened, it's happening. The things that are talked about within that letter are in place in this country. And to me, that word used within that context, that to me is really the Willie Lynch syndrome.
I agree.
And I know that me as a white guy saying that, it doesn't, how can I say, it may not carry much weight. And I understand it and I respect it, but to me it's the biggest Jedi mind trick. Bubba and Earl don't have to say it anymore. You've seen Tales from the Hood, right? The last 15 minutes, I don't like that movie. That movie's boring to me. The last 15 minutes of that movie are phenomenal. Because that dude, that white racist supremacist dude, is sitting in the prison cell and he's talking to this guy. And he's telling him, we don't have to do this anymore because you're doing it. We don't, and that's what I try. Going back to me talking to my son as a biracial child, I go back and I tell my son, these things have been put into place through social engineering for a certain segment of our society. And I firmly believe that, Mario. Now, people have called me conspiracy theorist. People have called me 100 different things, but that's what I teach my son so that he's conscious enough and aware enough to see these mind tricks being played, to see these games being played, and rise above them. Not only rise above them, but help elevate somebody else's train of thought, because to me, that's how we make things better in this country. It's easy for people to say, we just need to all get along. We do. That's what we tell our kids all the time. You just be quiet and get along. And that's true. But that doesn't erase the fact that there's certain things going on within this country that we have to address, that we have to look at, and we have to talk about, and we have to work through for us to be able to get along together in the long term. And that's what I try to arm my son information about. And that directly relates to him being a biracial child, because I'm telling you now, these white nationalists, I heard the guy do interview with Charles Barkley. I can't remember his name right now, but he's a white nationalist. And he's talking this stuff about whites being superior in every aspect, technologically, scientifically, everything. And I realized what a threat that mindset is to my son directly. And so that's why I try to arm him with information and make sure he knows who he is and what that's all about.
Yeah.
So now is that your first time dating outside the race, or have you had this experience before?
I've had the experience before, yes.
Oh, okay. So now that you've had a couple of chances to, compare and deal with it, what would you say to a person who's about to go into this arena, say, hey, young man, or hey, young lady, I don't care whether they be black or white, what would you say to them before they go down this road?
First of all, check the family history. Know the history of the family, for one. I think that's a lot of it. And just see what this person see why they're interested in them. The person you're trying to date, see what their interest is in dating outside their race. Is it that they just prefer black men, or they just want somebody that's going to be decent in their life? So those few things, like right there, I think would be the key to the first things you should try to find out. Don't be afraid to ask. Hey, are you just all about dating black men, and do you just want that thuggish guy, or are you just doing something to upset your parents? Just find out what is her true quest in dating outside of her race.
That's a really good point to make, cause some people do that. It's just a thing that they you could be as they say, the boy toy. Something to play with. Maybe on the weekends, and that's that.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, now if the younger you, was talking to the older you, would you advise dating outside your race?
The younger me talking to the older me?
Yeah, would you would the older you say, nah, don't do it, or yeah, young blood, go ahead and do it?
Yeah, the older me would tell him, hey, go ahead and do it, because there's no color on love. So if it's somebody that you feel like you can spend your time with and grow with, go ahead and do it.
If you had to give somebody some advice on that right there, and you said, okay, you got a young guy and a young girl, I mean, you can mix them up either which way, black or white, as far as the man and the woman go, and you say, okay, what would some of the potential obstacle people, what would you say be on the lookout for? If they was about getting ready to date, and you say, okay, let me tell you,
first thing I would tell them is look out for their family. Because the people you love the most can be the most hurtful sometimes, and sometimes they don't try to be, but they can be the most hurtful. They can say the most hurtful things. They can hold the most hurtful ideals, and as I have found in my own experience, sometimes they can give advice that is counterproductive to what you're trying to create for yourself. So the first thing I would tell them is to be aware of what dating outside their race may do within their family. Second thing I would tell them to do is never allow someone to keep you away from who you love. If you love this person and you want to pursue something with them, it's your life to live. Your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your aunts, your uncles, none of them have to answer for your life. So live your life and do what you feel makes you the happiest, within reason and without causing anybody else any physical harm intentionally. And then probably the last thing I would tell them is, if you're going to date interracially, be aware of your surroundings wherever you go, because there are some very stupid, ignorant, hurtful, both verbally and physically, people out there. Be strong enough to know what battles are worth fighting, and smart enough to know what battles are worthy of walking away from. Because the biggest thing about arguing with a fool, the person watching, you can't tell who's who. So I would say 3 things. Be conscious of how your family's going to react to it. 2, don't let anybody determine your happiness for you. You find your own happiness. And 3, be conscious and aware of your surroundings if you're dating. That's just good advice for anybody, but if we're speaking about dating outside your race here, dating outside your race, be aware of your surroundings and just watch people, because there's some very stupid and hateful people out there.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna round this out, and I'm gonna ask you this, and I don't know if you've heard of him, Dr. Umar Johnson. He all over Facebook.
I was gonna say something about him also, but go ahead. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring that up to tell you that he says that he do not respect any black man that dates outside his race.
Yes.
And how do you feel about that? Because obviously, when he says stuff like that, that means he's talking directly to you.
Talking directly to me, and when I watched the YouTube video, I just watched the episode of him with Roland Martin, I could get a lot of what he was saying. Not the respect thing, but to say that, you can't really truly be down for the cause if you're not dating a black woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can understand some of it, but also, like I said, there's no color on love. So therefore, Dr. Umar, you're wrong, because even though I was dating a white woman, she still heard my conversations and I involved her in my conversations of what's going on in the black community and with these police killing unarmed black men and things like that. And her dad, he was a cop, so she really didn't understand some of it, And even, so therefore, some of what Dr. Umar said, I can roll with it, but to say you don't respect the person, that's okay not to respect them as long as you don't disrespect them. You don't respect everybody you meet. So if you don't want to respect a black man that dates a white woman, that's fine. But as long as you don't come to me disrespecting me, it's okay. I don't have a problem with him not respecting that. That's his call.
But I get that, and like I said, I've been listening to Dr. Johnson for a while now. When he first started out, I was all on board with, hey, he's trying to start the school, trying to help the people. But it seems like in the last couple of years, he's become more radical with his, his beliefs and what he thinking and the doctrine he trying to push. Mm-hmm. And just to say that you feel, I don't know if you should say you don't respect a person. You could just say you feel some type of way, and that could be just a gray area. That could mean anything,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Say that.
I like that better.
Instead of saying you don't respect the person. Because once you tell another man he don't respect you, and you're a person out here trying to secure funds to help get a school, to help other people,
mm-hmm.
I just think you close the door on a lot of things that could potentially help you.
Exactly.
And each individual situation different. You can't say you don't respect a man. You don't know this man to know a person to say you don't respect them just because they decided to date outside of their race. That I don't know.
And that's why I say I can understand it, but for the most part, no, because it could be that black man married to a black woman that's still not down for the cause.
Yes. But
it could be this black man that's with a white woman or an Asian woman that's very down for the cause. So therefore, like you said, say that you feel some type of way, and we understand that.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel some type of way, we understand that. But yeah, like you said, to say you don't respect him is taking things a little bit too far.
Yeah, taking it too far.
Yeah.
That's what I say. If you say I feel some type of way, we understand that. We move on. We say, okay, maybe he ain't down with it. But to flat out tell a person you don't respect no man without knowing no situation, these could have been two people who grew up lifelong friends. They just, you know what I mean? You never know what a situation is,
Yeah, you're right about that.
So you got to judge each individual situation on its own merit and basis. You just can't say that.
Yeah. He needs to talk to one of the elders. I'm talking about like I have some type of feeling about him too, but I think like your Farrakhan's and your Cornel West's, somebody needs to reel him in a little bit, because I think Dr. Umar can do some great things, but he need to back it up a little bit, because he's coming out there a little bit too strong, and some people taking the negative way too much, and that distorts what he's saying. He's closing too many doors is what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people starting to call him out now,
Yeah.
So, but I agree with you. As they say, take a step back, look at it for how it really is, and just focus on the school. Focus on, trying to get that right. But by you being everywhere, doing all these different interviews and saying you don't respect people, because they feel a certain way, you rubbing people the wrong way. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of people out there who feel the way he feel though. So.
But just like he said when he was talking about how he got into all these schools and got these degrees, he said they didn't know what his philosophy or his ideology was.
Yeah.
He pulled back to get what he needed to get.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what he need to do with a lot of these things. Don't just be so aggressive and come out negative. Pull back a little bit, get what you need to get, and get things started and going, and then more people can get on board and help you out.
Yep.
At one point, I was actually considering donating to the school that he's trying to put together. But I mean, I'll say this, man. He's entitled to his own opinions. I get the I get the intent of what he's trying to put forth, because there's a lot of self-hate going on, and that's amongst everybody, but as it relates to who he is and the people he's trying to reach, I get his intent. But that's a strong, strong statement to say that you don't respect any man that marries or dates outside his race. That's just a strong statement to make, man, and you discredit a whole lot of good people by making that statement, in my personal opinion.
Well, let me ask you this question, then we'll wrap it up, Ryan. And I want you to, an honest question. How many times in your life have you been told you think you black? Or you trying to act
Mario,
like you're trying to be...
And I'm being very honest, even though it's going to be funny when I say it. I'm being very honest. If I had a nickel for every time I heard that, you would be talking to a very rich man right now, and I wouldn't be in a 2-bedroom apartment. I mean, I've heard that my entire life. Not so much like we were talking earlier, not so much at Geist when we were younger, but definitely heard it at Thurgood. Definitely heard it when I got to high school and since. But yeah, man, I've been called every sort of, like I told you earlier when we were talking off the record, I've been called every sort of name that you could think of. A white person, a racist white person, call me for dating outside my race. But yeah, I've been told rather that I'm trying to act black and I'm trying to be this, and it's never been by anyone within the black community. I've never had that told to me by anyone in the black community. It's always been from the white community. Always.
Yeah, and like you said, that we were talking earlier, I never looked at you, like that. And I just want to premise for all the people that are listening to this. We did kind of grow up together, went to school together, in elementary school. So I've known Ron for 20 plus years. And yeah, and you know how some people always, every time they refer to somebody, it's either, especially if we black and the other person is white, we always go white boy Ron, white boy Doug, white boy Chad. We never did that with you. You would just run. You know what I mean? To me, it never, and to this day when I hear people say that, I was like, I'm old enough to distinguish that you don't know too many people with this particular name, so you do know, I know you're talking about him, right? You don't have to start off with white boy. I know who you're talking about. All right, man, we're going to wrap it up, man. I want to thank you, Ron, for coming on, man. I definitely want to have you back, and I appreciate it, because, like I said, you give me some good introspective on how this works, because, a lot of, I belong to a group on Facebook, Real Talk, like for 40 and over, or something like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of women get mad at black men who decide to date white women, saying that, oh, you didn't give us a try, we weren't good enough. And the question be, you saying this for you? Where were you when this man was looking for a woman? Where were you when this man, when the other woman did him wrong? Because like you said, it's nothing like a black woman, but women can easily say what's going on, but you don't know what I was going through at the time, and who was there for me, and who gave me a shoulder, who listened, and who seemed to care.
Exactly.
So I appreciate you being on the show and giving me some introvert
no problem, man. I enjoyed it, man.
All right. Well, with that being said, Ron, we're going to wrap this up, and I definitely thank you for coming through, and it felt good to go back down memory lane and both realize that we both had a deep-rooted hatred for each other. Oh, man. So, but seriously, I definitely want to get you back so we could talk about, that, because I always think that I've always said from looking at your Facebook post and all the, like when you do the live video stuff, you just be bringing an interesting perspective. And I know you told me you wanted to do this podcasting thing.
Thank you. I think you should do it. And let me throw it back to you. Thank you for thinking enough of me to have me on here, thinking my opinions or views would be important enough or worthy enough to get out there, man. I respect what you're doing, too. I may not say it a lot sometimes or whatever, but I watch your videos and I've listened to the podcast, and you as well bring some good points of view and good perspectives out there. So thank you for having me on the podcast, man. I thank you.
So, all right, guys, we want to thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Random Select Podcast. It's the podcast that's all about thought-provoking talk. You can find the Random Select Podcast anywhere that they're streaming podcasts. You can find us anywhere that there's social media. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn Radio. Like I said, anywhere that they're streaming podcasts. You can also go to therandomselect.com to get blogs and vlogs and the latest episodes of the podcast. You can find us on YouTube. And guys, if you feel like you're interested in the show and you like the content that we're bringing you, you can go to www.patreon.com/randomselect and become a patron. No matter which level you donate at, we would truly appreciate it, and each little bit makes the show that much better. And once again, thank you for tuning in to the Random Select Podcast. With that being said, we are out.
Yeah. Yeah.